them for doing a great job. All right, so let me start. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining this session. A little brief about myself. I'm Minakshi. I'm an HR professional, a public speaker, and a POSH trainer. And I am associated with, I'm a member of this community named as Immunity, which this community is, bringing different communities together, which is like the synergy of different communities for professionals, for students, for freshers, so that they can connect, collaborate, and cultivate. Their aim is that we all come together, we collaborate on different aspects, and we cultivate something for our growth and for our professional aspects. And they're doing a lot of online and in-person meetings, and this is one of the online session that we are going to have in association with CodEvo. We have the wonderful team of CodEvo with us, and I would like them to introduce themselves. Thank you so much, Manisha, for joining us. Manisha, over to you. Please tell us about your team and yourself.
Yeah. Good evening. Thank you. Firstly, thank you, Meenakshi. And good evening, everyone. On behalf of CodEvo, I warmly welcome all of you to the Tech and Talent. It's an insightful discussion hosted by CodEvo in collaboration with Community. Uh, CodEvo Academy, we are fully committed in building future ready talent by offering premium upskilling programs in our academy. Over the years, we have successfully trained about 1,000 plus learners in sense the students as well as the corporates, helping them develop industry-ready relevant skills and practical knowledge. So, alongside the academic trainings, we also are into the corporate trainings. Delivering specialized training sessions in hospitals, schools, and IT companies, as well as the ID companies as well. So I hope today's discussion is a reflection on the vision that we're bringing all the HRs, industry experts, and professionals in AI and cybersecurity to bridge the gap between the AI and cyber skill gap to discuss on the topic. So thank you all for joining us. Over to Meenakshi.
Thank you so much, Manisha, and thank you so much for collaborating with the community, because the aim is to impart learning. And if you know something, you need to give back to the community, and that's exactly what we're focused on. Having said that, we have a panel today. I would like to welcome Webber from Community to please take it up and introduce.
Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, Web.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Manisha, ma'am, for that introduction and a very warm welcome once again to all of you who have joined this session. So, before we dive in, I just want to give a quick introduction about myself. I am Vaibhav. I'm a B2B sales and marketing professional from Chennai, and I'm taking care of the manufacturing sector for Chennai for particular organization. And I'm a proud community member of the community. So, let me quickly set the stage for today's topic, that is tech and talent, from talent acquisition to tech transformation. So building bridging the cyber gap. So that is the topic we have discussed. We are planning to discuss, and today, as we all know, that organizations are navigating a rapidly evolving landscape where technology and talent are becoming deeply interconnected and intertwined, right? So on one side, we have companies, they are rethinking how they are going to attract or hire talent, and that to right talent. While on the other side, there are technologies like cybersecurity, digital transformation, and other things which are reshaping how businesses actually operate and they want to grow. So especially during the AI driven time. So like it is a two-way setup, then, and we are having interesting parallels which are going on and in the industry. So organization normally talk about talent shortage and skill gaps, while many of the candidates they are struggling to find jobs or right opportunities to enter these fields. So the real question will be like, where is the gap? So where is the gap and what is the gap? So this is the questions that most people will have, especially the students. So is it the skills that is lacking, or is it the expectation, or is it the awareness, or the way organizations are preparing talent for future? Is there any policy changes required? So these are some of the topics we are going to discuss, and that is exactly why we are planning this discussion today, and looking at the intersection of technology, talent acquisition, talent readiness, hiring expectations, and emerging opportunities. So we are going to discuss multiple perspectives from. We have a very wonderful panel here. to unpack these ideas for us and bringing HR, cybersecurity, and technology and law everything together. So let me begin by introducing our first panel. We have Miss Sapna Madan, ma'am, a seasoned HR professional with over 16 years of experience in building compliant, people-centric, and future-ready workplaces. Her expertise spans HR transformation, organizational development, policy and SOP design, talent management, and compliance advisory. So she is also a certified soft skill and POS trainer, and her work in psychometric assessment and employee engagement, competency mapping, and compensation analysis has helped organization strengthen culture while improving retention and reducing hiring costs. So welcome to you, ma'am. Warm welcome to you to the session. Coming to our next speaker, panelist, we have Mr. Rupesh Mittal. He's an award-winning cybercrime expert and an advocate from Telangana High Court. So Rupesh works at the intersection of technology and law, focusing on cybercrime investigation, digital law, and cybersecurity awareness. So through his work, he has helped organizations and individuals better understand what are the emerging cyber threats and digital rights and the compliance challenges in today's challenging world and who is evolving digital ecosystem. So we are very delighted to have you with us, Mr. Rupesh. And now I would like to invite Mr. Selva from our Simmunity team to introduce the remaining panelists. So over to you, Selva.
Whoever is speaking on that.
Yeah, hi. Very good evening, everyone. Hope all of you can hear me. So, let me introduce myself. I'm Selva. I'm a talent acquisition professional over 8 years of experience across the technology space. I work with a software product organization from the past 5 years. So, I'll begin with the introduction of our further speakers for today. So, next we have is Bhavna Singh, a seasoned HR professional with over 12 years of experience in talent acquisition, onboarding,
Everyone should be in
people
spotlight. How should we
management,
do that?
and uh,
You know,
high performing team management, right? And she has been strengthening people processes across sectors like semi government organizations, fintech, US staffing, and IT SaaS. She is also a scholarship holder in her MBA and an IIT Roorkee HRMA certified professional, and combining her strong academic grounding with practical HR expertise. A very warm welcome to you, Ms. Bhavana. So let me move on with the other speaker's introduction for today. So we also have with us Anjika Jain, a software engineer and a cybersecurity marketing strategist who specializes in bridging the gap between complex technology and meaningful market communication. She works closely with cybersecurity companies to translate technical capabilities into impactful narratives, helping organizations position their uh, solutions effectively while driving awareness and adopting into evolving cybersecurity. So, welcome, Pisha. So it's time for me to introduce our moderator for today's session. So we have Meenakshi M today, who will be moderating today's session. So Meenakshi is an HR professional with an MBA in her human resource and a BTech computer science background, having over a half a decade of experience in people enablement domain within the IT services sector. Along with her professional journey, she is also a public speaker and a POSH trainer, and has been actively involved in HR communities,
January.
hosting and moderating several insightful sessions and across various platforms. We are delighted to have you, Meenakshi, and I'm glad to be a part of Community and this session as well for today. Thank you very much, and here I hand over to Ms. Meenakshi to carry on.
Thank you so much, Selva. Thank you so much, Weber, for the wonderful introduction. And while I was hearing the introduction, I was amazed by the diversity that we have in the panel today. And it's my utmost pleasure and honor to be moderating a session with this esteemed panel. I just request everyone, if other people also want to come on screen, interact with the panel, please feel free to do so. We have we have selected a few questions for our panelists based on their profiles and based on the agenda that we're talking on. And we'll make sure that we cover as many topics as possible. And if you still have any more questions, you can always put it in the chat when we enter the Q&A session. And also, please feel free to engage on the chat. If you resonate with something, please feel free to motivate the panel and also share your reaction. I think it will make this whole conversation two-way and not just us talking to each other, right? Thank you so much. Hello, Rupesh. How are you? Good evening. Rupesh, are you able to unmute yourself?
Yes, yes, I'm able for that.
All right. So is the like everyone from the panel able to unmute themselves? Bhavna, Sapna, Anjika, Rupesh.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Perfect. All right.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So let's start with the discussion. And as Weber already told us about the topic, it's from from talent acquisition to tech transformation and the gap that there is between the cybersecurity and AI, and we're trying to understand how we can bridge that gap and how we can make our workforce ready, and also understand that cybersecurity as a domain is very crucial and every organization has to upgrade themselves in form of training and learning. And having said that, my first question to the person who is from this domain is Rupesh. So my first question to you, Rupesh, is that many companies are saying that there is a cybersecurity talent shortage, but still many yet many trained candidates struggle to get their first jobs. There are candidates who are from cybersecurity, but they're not getting their job. So as per you, where is the gap? And what do you think, like the hiring expectation, or is it the candidate's readiness? What is it? One second. I've
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect. Again, some log was kept. Okay. So when today we are talking about the cybersecurity skill set, or say the security skill set per se, there is a good initiative, or what do you say, a awareness or a growth which you can see in the talent which is being shared. But how far is that going on? Say, last 4 years back, or it's been like during COVID, the
Hmm.
UGC has approved CSC cybersecurity as a domain. So now CSC has allied branches. In one of them, CSC cybersecurity is one. I was the board of studies for an institute where I have prepared the syllabus for them and how the course is to be conducted and all. We have drafted those things for the university. But are there any specialized people employed or recruited again later for the job? No. It's the same people who are teaching some other subjects. Now they are being handed over, like, yeah, these are the 4 5 subjects which have been added part of the curriculum, and they are being start giving that topics only. So that is first thing. Second is the infrastructure. So cyber security is not a theoretical subject, it is a practical subject. You need labs, though there are open labs available. By many may know about OS kind of labs. There are open machines available which you can spin it up and maybe test something on that. But is that sufficient? And those are the new labs? No. If we talk about today in technical angle, people still teach the DVWA and OS, BF and all those kind of things. Those were there 10 15 years back also. That is still being taught, and that is only it's framed as, and this is what is cyber security and all. No, cyber security has today changed a lot. There are new different types of techniques, new different types of things, and cyber security is something which cannot be said that I'm an expert today in cybersecurity and I know cybersecurity. No, it's a continuously changing field. Every day, new type of vulnerabilities come out. Every day, new type of things, new type of technology is there out. So it's a continuous process. But how much were you there in that process? That matters, because when I'm saying continuous process, then should I be reading every day? That can be a question, right? But no, that's not the thing. How much you are aware of that process, how much you are taking that knowledge from that particular process is the main part in that. So that's where institutes, trainings, knowledge enhancement sessions have been taking place in various organizations, and we have been taking them at various organizations so that the gap or the skill set enhancement is to be done continuously. So that is one thing. So next thing is about, is there real, do we really have the talent in India? Yes, in India we do have the talent in India, where people know what is the in and out of security. There have been knowledge enhancing, because last week only I was in the ICANN event, where we were talking a lot about DNS abuse and various things happening. But how many attended that? How many are aware of what all new discussions have been brought, what all new changes have been brought? That really matters. Many are not aware the reason these new changes have been brought. So that's how this skill gap which is there, or this the tech gap or the knowledge gap is there, that keeps increasing day by day. So if you are not keeping yourselves updated on that, yeah, the gap for that person increases day by day.
Right, I think fair point. One thing that I would like to add is that instead of training and upskilling the people from different domains, we might want to give people who are trained in that particular domain the opportunity. There are so many people who are knowledgeable in the domain of cybersecurity. Instead of just training a person, let's say from some development tool or anything into cybersecurity, the person who has done a proper training has knowledge. If they are given the right opportunity, probably we'll be able to eradicate the issues and understand that cybersecurity is not something that only affects the you know organization at large. It can affect the people, it can affect you and me, it can affect anyone in this room. So yeah, fair point. I think we
That's
have to give the right opportunity and not just train. All right.
that,
I think we'll come. Sorry. You're saying something.
yeah, one more thing I wanted to add is, if you see outside, the concept of security, especially in corporate, it comes with, instead of a concept based teaching, we go with the tool based teaching. Say in my organization, I use this and this tool for whatever the recruitment is there. I only teach them that, how this particular tool and things work. What are the other things or the basic concepts that also many times many don't know. They just know how the tool works.
Yeah,
That's the
makes
biggest
sense.
drawback there sometimes.
Agreed. I think we'll dive into that more. So again, if somebody from the panel wants to contribute, we can, please feel free to do so. If not, we'll just move to the next question. And I hope the audience is with us. If you are, please share a reaction. And as I mentioned, the cybersecurity is not just for the people like Rupesh who's from this domain. It's for all of us. We need to understand that this is going to be a real issue. And with AI, there are so many attacks. Honestly, personally, a couple of months back, I also faced one because we are sometimes not we are not focused on what we are viewing and what we are clicking on. And there are so many things. I'm talking from the user perspective. From the company perspective, there might be so many things which I'm not even aware of. So eventually we'll get to know in this session. And also apart from that, thank you so much, Rupesh. Now I would like to, so we'll first dive into the tech questions, and then we'll go into the HR aspect, because we want to understand how the hiring and how the tech transformation is happening from Bhavna and Sapna. We'll do that after we ask Anjika. Hi Anjika, are you able to unmute yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi Anjika, thank
Hi,
you so much.
Meenakshi.
How are you?
Thank you. All good. How are you?
All good. Thank you so much for joining our session, and we look forward
Happy to.
to your insights, because you work in this domain, so who better than you for answering this question. So the question for you is, Anjika, that cybersecurity has become critical for organizations today, as we are already talking about it. So from a technical perspective, what are the most common cybersecurity challenges or the vulnerabilities which companies are facing today, and what kind of skills these organizations should actively look for in the cybersecurity professionals that they're hiring?
Okay. Yeah. So, a great question actually. But for that, we have to understand, what exactly is the structure of an organization, and what are the major weak points that
Mhm.
happens, to understand the vulnerabilities, right? So in any organization or in any infrastructure, what we consider is cyber is targeted on three things, because one is people, so the human part of any organization, or even any country, or any body for that matter. So people, then there is second point, which is devices, and the third is the applications that each one of us is using, right? So majorly it's people, devices, and applications. So you have to basically secure all these three aspects. Then that's how the organizations can actually secure. So the challenges and vulnerabilities are also according to these three parts, and that's how cybersecurity like organizations focus on. So when we talk about people, it's more about training and awareness for them, right? Like how we are being our governments or a lot of NGOs are making running campaigns to make aware that okay, don't give OTPs or don't share OTPs and stuff like that, right? So that is the people aspect of it. Devices is more like you might be using a very common thing, which is, let's say, antivirus. So on an everyday basis, antivirus is something that we have, everybody, each one of us uses. But on an organization level, devices have a lot of other compliance related aspects, like the person who is allocated that particular device should only use it. The other employee should not have access to it, having the right passwords, complicated passwords. We have all gone through it, right? And the third aspect of it is applications. So applications, you might be using in your mobile phones, you might be using in your, even for example, Zoom, right? How do you secure an application like Zoom? How do you only allow certain people to not share that data or have access to the meetings and stuff like that? So these are the major aspects, and this is how the whole vulnerability segment is divided for organizations, right? And I think if I talk about the most common vulnerabilities as of now, it's majorly two. So one is the supply chain attacks. Supply chain attacks is basically something that if you have third party vendors, if you have, so it is basically coming from somewhere else to your system, right? And the whole supply chain is getting affected, right? And the second aspect, which is AI, as you already mentioned, and everybody is mentioning, right? So we have to be very cautious about who is accessing, because there's a lot of agents these days. Agentic AI is picking up pace. A lot of chatbots, LLMs have access to our data, right? So how do you secure yourself from AI? So that's majorly where cyber professionals or organizations are looking for people with these skills. And as Rupesh sir rightly mentioned, it's about the holistic view and not just the tool that you learn, right? So even
Mm-hmm.
organizations, whenever we go and give interviews, it's mostly they start from the basics, what you understand, and then build on top of it. Tools are always the last things that comes into picture. So yeah,
But as
that's
per
pretty
you, it
much.
should be like the primary,
Yeah, no,
right?
so it should not be. See, tools are never primary because tools keep changing, right?
Correct.
Somebody might be using something else, and it also depends on the region specific. So for example, when I'm working with the US clients, the tool, the tools that they use are completely different from what Europeans are using,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Okay. Okay.
Because yeah, they have their own uh, country level segmentation. They have data sovereignty that comes into picture. So they want in-house, in-country, like how we have Make in India, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same kind of concept
Okay.
actually applies everywhere. So tools are always the last thing that you should learn.
Okay. Okay. But okay, now the conversation that we're having has made me think on this aspect now, that we're understanding that cybersecurity is not just impacting IT, but also our teams, like, HR teams, finance team, payroll teams, operation team, all these internal teams that we have. So, do you think, from your perspective, that organization should like, should have a structured cybersecurity awareness programs, like we have posh awareness? So should we also have
Yeah,
cybersecurity awareness for all the departments?
absolutely. And actually, there are a lot of regulations and compliances that are coming into picture, which are basically mandating each organization to identify their business units, like BUs, different segments, and the awareness trainings are becoming important. So, majorly right now, as of now, the trainings are majorly divided into two parts. So, one is your phishing. So, phishing is mostly, uh, like how your somebody else can get access to your data by tricking you, basically. to share your details. So it can be sharing an OTP, it can be sharing a password or something like that, right? So phishing is one part of it, and the second aspect is internal security. So the threats are, external and internal. So how when we talk about posh, right? It's like employees doing unintentionally or intentionally something, right? So
Mm.
the same thing
Yeah.
happens in trainings as well, right? How internally also you can uh, uh, become a victim to a cyber situation, right? So these are majorly how trainings are divided. And as per with even a small company, so for example my company, we are a team of 10 people, right? And I make sure that every year or whenever somebody new is onboarded, we give them a basic training. And
Got it.
during Diwali, I mean, I can give you a live example where during Diwali, one of my employees were reached out as a phishing email saying, Anjika is looking for sending out gifts to the team for Diwali. This is the budget she has allocated and she has ordered, and now send the invoice. This is the invoice, send the payments out. Right? Such a
I
small
get it.
team, and
Yeah.
still the company is getting targeted with these. So it happens to all of us, actually.
Yeah. I'm sure. Half of our junk and spam folder is
Yes.
filled with this, and that's why people keep on saying that just don't click on any link while browsing, while watching Google. I mean, watching anything on Google. Just don't click on any link because you never know what it leads to. Perfect. Thank you so much for highlighting that. Organizations need to focus on this training. It has to be a mandatory as well, if
Yeah.
not done yet. All right, so now we are talking about organizations. So let's understand from the experts from our industry. Hello, Bhavna. Hi, Sapna. I think I mean, as an HR professional, it's been always us speaking in a forum like this, but it was wonderful to understand the take from a tech person, like from the tech professionals, Rupesh and Anjika, and let's understand how we can, from the organization perspective, because we're also discussing about how people can be placed better, how these cybersecurity and AI folks can be placed better. So my first question will be from Bhavna. Hi, Bhavna. Can you unmute yourself? I'll probably send you the request.
Yes, now it's done. Thank you. Yeah.
Perfect. Hello, Bhavna. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so much, Meenakshi.
all right, so Bhavna, the question that I have from you, and I'm sure many people will be looking for an answer from HR because everybody reaches out to HR and they want to know the answers from HR for their queries. So my question is that organizations often talk about the gap which is there between industry expectation and the candidate's readiness, right?
Mm.
So from the perspective of an HR and also from the perspective of a talent acquisition manager, where do you think this disconnect actually begins between the industry expectation and the candidate's readiness? So I would like to know your take.
Sure. So I believe, the disconnect begins much earlier. Like it's just not what we see on the surface. It has begun from, I believe, not from the interview stage, but much before. I believe those academia courses, we should see that those job evaluation, job descriptions. Whenever we as an HR, we are creating those job description, we should see where exactly we are at this point. When we see the gap, I would better structure it in two ways. So one being the education system and other being the corporate system. So there are one or two things which I should highlight. uh, Education system is still making students learn the yesterday's courses. So by the time 3 or 4 years are done, they are still there. I mean, I have seen my own education. I'll point it out, very frankly, when like 12, 13 years back, when I was doing my MBA, whatever I was reading, I read about recruitment for sure. And I've been doing recruitment for a good 12 years now. But then I see they've just made me learn what is recruitment, and that was there on top of my head while giving the interviews. But when I go deep down, sitting on that laptop and seeing what exactly recruitment is, it is nothing of that sort what I learned in the book, right? So one, of course, academia course has to be updated because the industry velocity is going at, at some speed, and that is like almost AI exposed roles, they are changing 66% faster than the less AI exposed skills. So that's where we are. If at all, education system is not updating themselves every year, it's not going to happen then. Because like in a year I have seen in the job requirements that every 3 months I see some different skill coming up, that okay, Bhavna, we are looking for this particular skill and this is all into tech. We need to think about it. We need to, of course, AI, Google, and see where exactly this particular person would be. But then when I see the job description, and here comes the glitch from the corporate end. They will again ask me for 5 years of experience, and that particular tech is there from only 1 year, or let's say 1.5 years. So, so that's the real time
Yeah.
issues which I see. One from the education system, second from the corporate system. Um, to bridge it, or let's say cross, to have that particular sink into it, I believe capability building, which HRs do every time, but still it's not at par. I mean, it's only 35% of all the industries, at least in India. I've seen that particular data. It's just 35% of HRs who are doing capability building. Most of them are doing replacement hiring. But what about those people who are there, who are your people, who are trained enough in your industry, in your, let's say, product? Why not to upskill them? So what I believe, these are few gaps which I see from both the ends, and it can be mended up. But and if it mends up, I'll tell you, companies are paying good 50 to 60%, like more salaries to those people who are skilled, or let's say AI skilled. So we are ready to pay. The only thing is, it has to be at par or updated.
Wonderful. I think that was a very good example in which you mentioned that. I was reading a job description, I think a week back or something. They wanted somebody with experience, with 15 years experience in AI. I was like, when did AI come in the picture? Sorry, please tell me.
And
So
this
that's
happens.
what they want, architects and, like, senior professionals in AI. I'm not saying that the senior professional who are there at that level cannot learn AI, but to ask for something which is not even
It is not
existing.
even existing, yes.
So you need to know what your ask is,
Yeah.
and understand that if it's even practical.
Yeah.
So
Hiring
I'm
bar has to be checked, like where we are and what are we even asking.
correct, and I think, yeah, well, we we as HR professionals and TAs, we have gone through this, and we have to bridge that gap. And for this, we need to understand this side, we need to understand this side, and we need to say, we need to see how we can, like, probably teach the candidates what the industry is looking for and something like that. So we need to.
Right. And like most of the hiring managers, when I just talk about the students or the freshers, country's future, I'd say, um, I see many of the times that, the resumes are all replica. They are filled with those keywords, which is ATS friendly, I'm sure. But then you have to face a human who's actually dealing it in and out on an everyday basis, and they'll say that okay, and this is the highest number one complaint of any hiring managers, that Bhavna, whatever resumes I see, it's filled with ATS good keywords, matched keywords, but where is the depth? They doesn't have actual those things. They haven't done any
Right.
project. It's just written. So yes, these are the things which I see as a gap, and it should be actually updated.
Makes sense, makes sense. That's what we are definitely upgrading with AI and everything, but we need to also put in our creative brain. We can't just copy paste everything that is already there, because the right HR, the right person will definitely find the error and know which
Yeah.
is copied and which is authentic. Thank you so much, Bhavna. Having said that, let's move to Sapna. Sapna, hello, Sapna. I'll just ask you to unmute. Are you able to unmute yourself?
Now I'm able to. Yeah.
Perfect. Hello, Sapna. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Meenakshi? And thank you for inviting me to the podcast. I hope that we will able to contribute to the best of
Definitely,
your
I'm sure.
expectations and the audience.
Well, my expectation is just to have a good conversation and to make sure that the audience enjoys this conversation and takes back something which we can give back. And with your experience of more than 16 plus years of, more than 16 plus years of experience, I'm sure that you have so much to contribute. And also, there's a lot that I can learn from both you, Bhavna, and all the panel basically, and everybody in this room. So, Sapna, my question to you is again a little
So before
focused
you
on.
move to my question, can I just
Yeah,
say something, means add on to what you have asked to Bhavna. So
please,
uh,
please.
Bhavna has already explained the academia and the industry gap and how we are actually doing our best through the hiring stage. So the one aspect which I do wanted to mention is the perception stage. The candidate often believe that while doing certification course kind of, or maybe certification, any kind of certification will guarantee them employability. So, but employers are increasingly evaluating the things on their
Mm-hmm.
side. So, basically, problem solving skill, you can say, or aptitude skills, or adaptability, or kind of practical experiences. So, they are doing their own paces, and candidate has a perception stage that yes, while I'll do this AI course or this cybersecurity course or any course, such course, I should be assured that I'll be getting this employability. So this is also a stage where we could not identify that yes, how we want a person to move on from the academia perspective and how the industry is evaluating. So these things needs to to be bridged as well. So I just wanted to add
Agreed,
on
agreed.
this point. Yeah,
Very valid point. That only that certification or the paper document cannot be a proof of your knowledge.
correct.
So just have n number of people can have that certification, or n number of people can be engineers. To be very honest, I'm an engineer. I did BTech computer science, but can you say that I can do an engineering task? I doubt myself. If you trust me, it's very good. So that's the point. You can't just have a degree or a certification and not have knowledge. And I'm sure that these days resumes are filled with it. Both you and Bhavna, we have worked in this domain. I'm sure resumes are filled with, I've done this certification, this course, that course, but how much do you know in reality? So that's the question. Thank you so much for adding your insights. Now I'll move to your question, Sapna. That how do you think HR and talent acquisition teams can collaborate more effectively with the learning development teams to bridge this gap and improve employability? So basically, we're talking about the gap between the candidate readiness and industry expectation, right? So how can the TA team collaborate with the L&D team, because all of these are somewhere related functions, and we can bridge this gap.
So thank you for the question. It's a very important question. Hiring skill. It's something most organizations struggle with today. I believe HR, talent acquisition, and L&D department need to work as a connected ecosystem rather than operating in silos. First, the data sharing between talent acquisition and the L&D is critical. Talent acquisition teams are on the front line of the job market. They are the one who actually they see which skills are missing in candidates, which clients are asking for, and where hiring bottleneck
Mm-hmm.
occurs. If that data is regularly shared with L&D team, the training programs can be designed to directly address those gaps. The second point is that organizations should build a skill first approach instead of role first approach. We do so in our practical phase as
Mm-hmm.
well. HR and TA can identify the core skill needed for the future roles, and L&D can then create targeted learning pathways to develop those capabilities internally in the organization. This not only improves employability, but also strengthen it internally. They strengthen the internal talent pipeline. While you focus on the acquisition, you need to see that where are the leakage in the organization and how to strengthen that pipelines. The next point would be continuous feedback loops that are very, very essential. Continuous feedback, people currently, whether they are at the junior management level, middle management, or the SMT level, few people take care of that as a key element. but many of us missed out it. After hiring or training programs, HR and TA should evaluate outcomes, which sometimes we just do the document thing. We just do our processes, do the documents, and just keep going on. So we actually sometimes forget to evaluate the outcomes like job readiness, onboarding performance. We do onboarding, we know the checklist, we do from starting to end, but we never see that what how to evaluate that onboarding performance or the retention and share that feedback with the L&D. So the bridge would be then when the HR or the TA will share all these evaluation of the processes to L&D program to streamline it further. This helps to refine the learning plans so the
So sorry, I just need to check, Sapna. I'm not able to
should
hear you.
start earlier in the talent life cycle instead of waiting until hiring comes difficult.
Hmm.
Yeah, am I
Yeah,
here?
there's a little,
Am I
yeah, there's a
audible?
little, yes, yes, you're audible. But I think the network is not very constant.
Is
Not stable.
freezed.
Yeah,
Meenakshi.
yeah. Yes, your bandwidth is a little low. So if you
Hello.
can hear me, Sapna, we're not able to hear you. Hello. Sapna, if you can hear me, just, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
you're
In
you're.
case you're facing bandwidth issues, you
I
can,
can hear you now.
perfect. All right, all right. Okay. In case you're facing bandwidth issues, I think you can switch off your video for a couple of minutes. Yeah. Hi, Sapna, can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah.
Am I audible to other people? Okay. Sapna, can you hear
Yes.
me? No issues. I think, Sapna, we can't hear you, and I understand that when you're doing an online session, technical issues nahi hote to fir kya hua? Being honest, okay. So, Sapna, we'll come back to you, but we understand, and we understood your point that all these team, instead of working in silos, we need to work together. We need to understand which all departments and functions need to upskill, and even the data which is coming from. I mean, personally, I believe that the data which is coming from the exit interview, in case it is related to less growth or no training opportunities, then in that case we need to give that to the L&D team so that we can impart better trainings. Bhavna, do you want to say something on this? Okay, please.
Yes, thank you so much. So, yeah, I truly believe Sapna, whatever said, like this is the real time issue, and this is not happening in most of the organizations. The
Mm,
attitude of working in silos, because HR is a very vast umbrella. So operations being one, admin being one, talent acquisition, ops, and then L&D, and all those things. So we all have to collaborate so that we should be in one team, and think about the betterment of the organization, and think about the tech betterment of an organization. So if at all we get to talk to each other in a week, what all things have changed in a week, or what are the ideas, what good things, what bad things, those pros and cons analysis works like magic.
mhm.
And that has happened. I mean, I've done that in my own organization, and we see the boom, that where exactly we are thinking, and that positive attitude comes up into the picture. So yes, TA and L&D should go hand in hand.
Makes sense, makes sense. I think if we all work together, we're definitely benefiting the whole organization. Working in silos doesn't really help. And as we're speaking about training, thank you so much, Bhavna. Thank you so much for answering that. And I think Sapna had to leave the call. Sapna, you're back. So sorry,
I'm
the
back.
network.
I don't
Yeah,
know what was wrong with the network. So
no
I think I
problem. But
was,
yes,
yeah, I was finally ending the thing with the collaboration. But when I rejoined it, I have seen that Bhavna already covered that point of collaboration, which I was wanted to ask, and it just see that yes, it is already done. So I think we can continue
But
if
if
I
all
would
the
like
if
to.
all the people in the chat agree to collaboration, maybe, if you, even if you're an HR, marketing professional, finance professional, trainer, coach, if you think that all the teams, and I just don't talk about TA and L&D, I think every team which is involved in a business needs to collaborate, because you never know how you can help each other and also improve the processes, right? So thank you so much, Sapna. Thank you so much for the wonderful answer. As we're talking about training, I need to ask this question to Rupesh, because he comes from this domain of cybersecurity. And the reason we wanted to understand the industry perspective is that there is a gap in the industry, and at the same time there is a gap in the tech side as well. And we need to also do one thing, that both these teams also need to work together. Because as Anjika and Rupesh were mentioning, that cybersecurity is like a organization wide, it's an aspect which is supposed to be discussed in organization wide, and not just for the cybersecurity professionals. And as HRs, we are the ones who are devising the training, right? As L&D professionals and HRs, we are the one devising the training, we're making the training plan. And if a training like cybersecurity and AI, which is mandate and need of the hour, if it is not done, then it will have its own repercussions. So with that, I think, Rupesh, my last question before we move to the Q&A to you would be that, there are so many cyber threats which are increasing across industry, and do you think organizations today are investing, because we're investing in so many other things, but are we investing in cybersecurity training for our employees, or is it something that we're not really focused on?
Thank you. Thank you. So, talking about investment, you have got a really beautiful question over here. So, unfortunately, the budgets of many companies, especially towards cybersecurity or the security angle, is not there in the picture long ago. It's not talking about today, it's not been there from a very long time. Unless the company had an attack, something has happened, and then only the organization has got really serious about, yes, this is something, and we need to keep some work related to this, or some budget related to this.
Hmm.
Still, if you'll see the DPDP Act of the India, which was passed, I think, I don't know, it's 2 years. Still, it's not in force, but yeah, the rules, the draft rules of how you should be there, you should, the because the force enforcement of that is being delayed, because companies, yeah, are still uh, preparing themselves for the compliance part. So security and privacy are two things which go together. You can't, keep them aside. And when we're talking about, every people in the organization, that's a very beautiful thing, because if you know or not, ask anyone, the biggest weakness in the system is not the system, it is the human who is operating it. It is always the human that is the weakness, because we are humans, we go with the emotions, we have patterns, we have things for which we can be vulnerable. So the system vulnerability is one thing, but the human vulnerability is another thing. Now I want to trick you and get into things, my words, my language, my dressing sense. People, when we say people judge with the looks and all, that's a very common human hack. You are in a restaurant, you are going with a blazer, or and you are going with something in a t-shirt. You can see how you are being treated, right? See, the reality may be something different, but how, assuming that you are so and so, and you might have seen many movies or in their videos also, of where uh, the tricks of deceiving is being there. You'll see, being well, the human is being targeted. The how a person will react to it. I'm showing with them busy, can you please help? You have helped a guy to get entry into something. I'm carrying something and my both hands are full. I'm looking little old age. Yeah, ask someone, can you please swipe the card to give me entry? The person has entered into the premises of the secured zone. So this is a very common thing, because humans have to be taught of the basic things. You may be working on the systems infrastructure, its security and all, but if the humans who are being given the charge of handling the particular system, they are weak, the whole thing is pointless. So that's a very niche thing, and organizations need to still work on that, on how they are gonna make sure that the employees or the people who are associated with that particular uh, technology should be aware of various things, and how little awareness and skills can be improved on them. So, yeah,
All
that's
right, Rupesh. Yeah, I think that's a very valid point. And because we're talking about cybersecurity, I would like to just reiterate that no, training on cybersecurity is important. I just want to understand from the audience, do you do cybersecurity training in your companies? If you do, maybe hand raise or something. We do it, so I'll just probably react to it. If you do cybersecurity in your company for your employees, even if it's a small company, big company, perfect. And all right, so that's quite a good number of hand raises. And if you're not doing it, but do you like, you think that you should be doing it? Is it something that you think you should be doing it? Because I know that uh, like companies gradually are understanding that they might be at a larger risk. The amount spent in such trainings might be less, but they might be at a larger risk if the people are not trained right. So if you think that this is something that we all need to do as individuals and companies, maybe you give me a hands, like a reaction to it. Yeah. Honestly, I have been through it. So I am somebody is like very cautious and very particular about what I'm browsing, what I'm clicking, any spam email, and I'm sure this conversation can go on and on. Now I like to open the floor to the question and answers. Thank you so much to the wonderful panel, Rupesh, Anjika, Sapna, Bhavna. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. Let's see if we have something from our audience. Anyone, if you want to ask a question, please raise your hand. If you want to ask it on the chat, please go for it.
So before we move ahead, Meenakshi, I would
Yeah,
like to
please.
add a few points to
Sure. Please, Manisha.
Bhavna's conversation, Rupesh, and also Anjika's. So when Bhavna was telling about the old school method of teaching, that's what the academia is the problem with academia. That she was very much right. I'll just give you a few examples. So in MBA or in BBA, when people do it in their specialization in HRs and the talent acquisition part, or you say marketing, it is always in HR. I am from MBA. I've done my MBA in HR, and I so what might be thought to Bhavna long back of what is the recruitment cycle, how what is organizational behavior, and all these topics are taught in MBA, HR, or any stream for that. But people really don't teach if you are in talent acquisition what kind of tools you use to you should know to recruit people. So when you actually come into the talent acquisition, you're just left with the knowledge of the hiring process starts with the hiring manager passing on the job description to the talent acquisition team. They go and search, but actually, how do you search? That tool knowledge is really missing in today's generation, not from today's generation, back from so many generations. So that's what is being taught in CodEvo Academy. We are a training institute where we bridge the gap between the industry and the uh, students or the academy, I would say. And also adding to Anjika's point that cybersecurity are two things. One is so we also are into corporate trainings, as I said. So one training we have is on the compliance and regulation, and the other is the enterprise defense technique. So if suddenly, I would like to add an example. So we have one of our digital marketing agency where there are so recently they had vulnerabilities. So they have developed approximately a 1,500 websites in their company. So all the 1,500 websites are being hacked. So the 1,500 website, there were some hackers who was imparted. The hacker is none other than this team member of the same digital marketing agency. So you never know who the hackers would be. They would be your internal team also. You never know where the attacks would be coming on your this things, right? So I think it is very essential. So something like this happens. So you imagine 1,500 websites being hacked, the agency is at a loss of about 20 lakhs, because they have to go through the all vulnerability testings in the each and every website. So each website would be costing somewhere around 20 to 25,000 to check one website's vulnerabilities. So instead, why we have come up with this such training also, how do you react if something like this happens immediately? So reacting immediately is also something where you and your to your organization, it is essential to react first before getting going to some cyber expert or something. But how do you defend yourself if some attack is happening like that, right? So we have a program specially designed for this segment. So I just thought I would be adding 2 points to the panelist in continuation with the panelist. I'm sorry, and I think we can continue with the Q&A. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, Manisha. I mean, resonate with your thought, and also that the ways of classroom teaching and, like how the organization is treating the employees has to change. Thank you for adding that point. So, Vaibhav, you have a question, please go for it.
Yes,
Mine
it's
is
my.
another 5-10
Am I
minutes.
audible?
Yes, yeah.
So I have a question regarding the phishing part, because most of the training is revolving around that only in cybersecurity. Cybersecurity means phishing, so you should not open any emails or anything. But is there any other techniques that employees or organization should be aware of, so that because most of the trainings are
We
around
can do
phishing
that.
only. So is there anything which we
Then,
can learn
then I will
additional
speak
that
there.
we should learn?
Okay. Anyone, maybe Anchika, you want to take this answer? Or Rupesh, I mean, to.
Yeah, sure. So, phishing, why it is the most common training that you'll see web of is because rest all the things are majorly taken care by the tools nowadays, right? So people, organizations try to invest in those tools and automate all of the things. But I would actually like to add on what Manisha was mentioning before, right? I was actually typing in the chat as well. See, internal threats often doesn't happen with phishing, right? They happen with proper access and authentication issues, right? So you are giving a lot of access to somebody who should not practically have it once you are already, in production. Right. So what happens? So, for example, my tenure at VMware, when I was working as a software dev there, uh, one thing we made sure is the authentication and access part of it. So everybody should not be authorized, and there were trainings that were given to the admins, to the system admins, to different managers and director level folks, that you should be cautious about these things. But there are very specific trainings that comes with the roles that you have, right?
Okay.
So for example, as developers, we were giving other security trainings that aligned more on the process of the development itself, like where should you actually search. For example, now everybody's searching for on LLMs and AI bots, right? So there were trainings from the security angle that were given to us on how to actually use those resources in the right manner, right? So those are different kinds of training, but it depends a lot on the corporate budgets. And phishing trainings are usually much more important. They are boring, I understand. They are very, very
Because it
boring,
is very common
but
in manufacturing sector, which I am coming from. So
yes,
they keep
yes,
they have a small, in front of all the desk. We have a small quote: "Don't open any emails, unknowing emails,"
yeah.
and we keep getting also monthly ones. We get also. That is another
So
part.
the reason for, because in manufacturing, so I have been dealing with clients in cyber who deal with manufacturing clients, right? And the problem, the gap there is the folks, the knowledge gap, right? So if you're in manufacturing sector, first point of attack is always phishing,
Yeah.
right? They might not be even accessing high level information,
Yeah.
but they might be accessing emails, right? Which will in turn
Exactly.
give that. And the second aspect why you see a lot of phishing trainings is because it is a mandate.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes under a lot of compliances in manufacturing industry itself. So if you want to get yourself compliant, you need
Right.
to have phishing awareness training. I think it's either a quarterly basis or half yearly basis kind of
We
a
keep
thing,
getting
right?
every 3 months. 3 months.
Ha,
Any
it's
3 months.
quarterly.
It is like
Exactly.
same habit. 1 hour training. Keep on
Yeah.
happening. Every month we keep on getting phishing attacks. So it's like
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah, no, even I see in organizations, so it's not just the training. You will also be sent uh emails like uh there will be a team who will run phishing simulations. We call it phishing simulations. To it'll be a uh, just to see who is more prone to clicking to those links.
Like the
Right?
organization conduct their own search,
Yes.
like which
Yes.
employees is vulnerable to opening the mail, like that.
Yes. So basically, what they do is they run a simulation. They hire somebody or they have their internal security team, and they draft a email, and it has some pointers where you have to identify and report that email as phishing.
Okay.
But employees who don't report it as phishing, that means you are more prone to it. So then there'll be a phishing awareness training allotted to
Normally
you
we go and delete
specifically.
the mail. Directly we go and delete the mail. We don't even open it.
So the expectation that the organizations have is that you should report it as a phishing email, because there's another aspect of it, which is if you don't report some email as a phishing email, the domain still exists. So even if you are aware, they will send it to somebody else and they might get phished. But if you report it, either Google or Microsoft or whatever workspace you are using, they will be flagging that domain that this is like, it's how we have block or report and fraud in a
Correct,
WhatsApp
correct.
conversation, right? So these are different trainings, but it depends on the roles and the level of you know uh, processes and places and industries and compliance guidelines, and there's so many other aspects that comes into picture.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Wonderful.
One more
Thank
thing I
you.
wanted
Yeah,
to add
Rupesh,
here.
please.
Yeah. So when we are talking about phishing, phishing is not a small concept. Phishing is itself a very important role. We may term many things as just phishing. Phishing itself has, when you try to understand that, we have 3 to 4 different variants of phishing. If I'm generally phishing, we say we have email based. There is again a call based, there is an SMS based, now there is L based phishing also. So not only one aspect of that, and why when you're talking about continuous, why we have to do today, there is a war situation, they don't have LPG cylinders and all, you're getting a message of LPG today.
Correct.
So what is the current thing going on, what are the latest ways, how, because I'm not fraudsters are not like the academicians which they are teaching the 10 years old thing. They have new revenue, they have funding and all, they are attacking with the latest things. So making employees aware of what's happening currently, or what has happened in the last 1 month, or say 2 3 months, a quarter, is very much important, and that needs to get updated. Maybe the whole session will not be required, a 1 hour 2 hour thing is not required, it's just a 10 15 minutes, what we have seen in the last 1 or 2 months, that can be sufficient. Next thing is about one, talking about, you were trying to ask, what things else we have when you download something, the malware threat. The malware threat is a real threat. I have seen many organizations now facing this. The systems getting attacked by ransomwares. For some purpose, you have downloaded something. Okay, say you have downloaded simple. I'm saying a Teams only app. But if you have not downloaded from a genuine website, you have got into some other website or any free download. Basically, you have taken. And because of that, you had a Trojan horse or some other kind of malware. The whole system is now locked, and it's a bomb now it is spreading to other systems also. So like that, there are many various kind of things which at an organization level. Uh, so it's which we call nowadays, which we have a new word for this, which we call as a cyber hygiene or the digital hygiene. It is about when COVID was there, we used to talk about hygiene. Whenever you're eating something or when you're using your hands, you should sanitize them. You should use in this way. This is how you keep safety from things. So we also now teach something as digital hygiene, so that it is when a person is using a system or when he is connected to internet, what are all the minimum things that he should be aware of, and what happens when you do something. So when you're driving, this is when we talk about, because unfortunately, all over the world, if you want to ride a electrical or a motor based vehicle, you need a license. But the same thing when you want to use internet,
Sapna,
you
Selva
don't have
HR, Meenakshi
you
HR.
can just go
Different different
independently.
company. Yeah.
What you use internet, just have a connection system, you can just use it. But are you ready? Are you really aware of how to safely
Rupesh,
use
and
internet?
yeah.
Right question.
So sorry, your network is disconnecting. But I think what you said in the end is if you know how to safely use the internet, right? I think that's what I heard. Sorry, Rupesh, are you there?
He's on mute. He's on mute.
Yeah, no, but I think his network. Sapna, you want to say something, please?
Uh,
I'm there. I'm there here only. So I use the
Yeah.
same technique which you mentioned earlier to just turn off the camera. So sorry for that. Yeah, I'm
Right.
heading to actually another
Uh,
event. The Vizag City Police here is all launching an event. They have been invited. So the
Oh, okay.
timing is such that I
No
have to rush
problem.
from one
Thank you
to
so much. You're still joining us, and that was a valuable insight that there are
It was.
multiple things in fishing as well. So we need to, be aware
fishing
of that.
outside,
that
which is
shows your
not
commitment,
is
Rupesh,
about.
It's
Thank
to
you,
be
thank you.
available for us. And with that malware concept which you have just shared, so I had that experience in my, when I was working in one of the organization. That happens to me as well.
last 5 minutes.
While downloading
I'll only take 2 minutes.
we call it AnyDesk. AnyDesk is something just
Yes,
like
yes.
TeamViewer.
Screen
Yeah.
sharing, screen
So
sharing.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yes.
Right.
So I was doing it since I thought that yes, I'll be able to do it on my own. Why I need an IT person to come into my system and do it for me?
Correct.
So I just said that
Correct.
okay, I'll do it on my own. So I started,
Hmm.
and somewhere I have just opened some you need some website, and I just downloaded it, and it went like that. My system got crashed. All my data went out, and I need to format my system. And then after that, the cybersecurity training, I actually feel that yes, there is a need of it to take care of the digital hygiene, and I need to know that how and from where I need to download the things, so that what are the things which are red alert for me. So my data got secured because that was on cloud as well. We are working on intranet, so they were actually secured, but few of the data actually I need to compromise. So, but I truly resonate with the point of the malware, which I have also have experienced in my digital space.
Makes sense. Thank you so much, Sapna, because we're the users and, like we understand, we have faced this or we have been a victim to this. So, perfect. Thank you so much for adding. Somebody, yeah, Sanskriti. Sanskriti is there? Is Sanskriti there in the call? Sanskriti, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question, or should I do that for you? I've just requested you to unmute. All right, I think I won't waste time. Sanskriti's question is on the chat, and she was asking that. One second. Can one of you, maybe Selva or Webber? I am not able to see the chat for some reason. Can you please ask that question? I just lost it.
Should I do it for you?
Yeah.
I can see it.
Okay. Yeah. Please. Please. Yes. 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 I for some reason my
Yeah, that's
chat is
okay.
frozen. Hmm.
So the question is, ma'am, as AI progressively automating many transactional HR functions such as resume screening, scheduling, and analytics, do you think the future competitive advantage of HR will depend more on technological adoption or on cultivating a deeper human understanding of employees? Okay, I would love to hear your thoughts.
Perfect. I think this is the right question for you, and I'm sure
Yeah,
Bhavna can also
I
contribute.
can. Yeah, I can start, and maybe Bhavna or Rupesh
Please.
can
Unmute
contribute.
Rupesh.
So I believe the
Unmute
future competitive
Rupesh.
advantage of HR will not depend solely on technology or solely on human understanding. It will depend on the ability to balance both.
Rupesh.
So AI is already transforming the HR by
Right
automating
one. Right,
transactional
right, right.
tasks such as resume screening, interview scheduling, or data analytics, as you mentioned, as Sanskriti mentioned. This help
Last 5 minutes.
organization
Unmute,
improve
unmute, unmute, unmute.
efficiency basically,
Unmute.
reduce biasness
Unmute.
as well in some processes, and make faster data driven decisions. However, HR has
Last.
always been fundamentally about people. We are core at heart about people. While AI can process the data, it cannot fully understand human emotions. As rightly said by some of the speakers, that emotional intelligence are still there at the human ground. So, motivation, organizational culture, these AI cannot fully, uh, you know, fully transfer to another desk. So, or complex interpersonal dynamics, building trust, fostering engagement in the organization, I would say, managing conflicts, grievance handling, which we say, and supporting employee well-being still require strong human
Anything or
empathy
they're
and
saying it's not
judgment.
happening.
So, in my view, technology should act as an enabler rather than a replacement. By automating routine tasks, AI actually frees HR professional to focus on more strategic and human-centered aspects like leadership development, employee experience, and cultural building throughout. So the real competitive advantage will come from organization that successfully combine both aspects, technology and with the human understanding of the employees. That was my take on it.
Valid. I think both of them have to go hand in hand. Bhavna, what's your take?
I believe all the points are
And even
covered by.
Rupesh. Yeah,
Yeah,
after
so
Bhavna.
she's very right. I mean, it's an enabler. It's going to support us. It's not going to replace, or it's not going to, do better work without us. So people is always first in human resources.
Right. Rupesh, what do you
Yeah,
want to add,
uh,
please?
yeah, I want to add something. And really, I'm adding this in this way. But if you think in the perspective of a hacker, HR is his first and the most weakest link which he tries to target, because HR is that person who is the face or that medium from an outsider, unknown persons to the organization. Because suppose say it's very easy. I'll share you a small example. You're having a job opening or some recruitment thing. I send my resume to your mail because as a HR, he or she will have his mail IDs and all disclosed outside, right? I've sent an attachment to you. Now yeah, as a HR, you want to see the profile, you download that attachment. Now, a HR is, I said again, right? It becomes the weakest link here because he's that person who is open to the public, and if that person can be tricked, so it is very easy to get inside the organization. So HR should very much know about how things work, how people are targeted. I think I have already started something recently, and how safe HR should be there. How digital HR, like these kind of initiatives are there a lot. No, because if you're not aware of things and how your services can be misused or how you can be tricked, it's very dangerous.
Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
a valid point, but this perception, I would say, in a way, does not mean HR is inherently weak. In fact, HR has,
No, I'm not saying HR is weak.
yeah,
I
no,
see.
no,
I am
no, the link,
saying
the
what I'm
link.
saying. Yes,
I'm saying
yes,
the link. I'm saying about the link only. HR is
correct,
often
correct.
perceived as a weak point for hackers, because HR teams handle
Yes,
large amount of data, large amount of sensitive data, I
yes,
would say,
yes,
employee personal
exactly.
information, not about resume only, even the payroll records or
Of
identification
course.
documents, many such things. But the perception, the hackers also don't know maybe that we are the people who are emotionally intelligent. We know that yeah, these things are happening. As I said that I was also the victim of it earlier, but we also know that how to collaborate with the IT team first before going in hand. So how to have that gauge points together, and it has several strong points including talent acquisition. So I think I resonate with it, but still we have moved to a very good collaboration with the IT and cybersecurity teams
See,
so that
that's why we
we
hire
can back
AI
self
security
ourselves.
people. That's why we
Yeah,
are hiring AI security people so that these things can't
Yes,
happen. And
yes, yes,
I just
exactly.
saw
but
a
we are
chat
the
from my
custodian. We are the
Vaibhav.
custodian, Bhavna, of
Yeah,
all the things, right?
right. So we
Yeah.
have a chat from Vaibhav that it's just not HR, it's marketing, it's sales, it's other
Yes.
departments who also are vulnerable, and that's
Yeah,
why
can you
defensing
for
our
security?
organization with
Can we
AI
increase it now?
security is a need nowadays.
No, how can
Correct. We can secure recruitment platform by introducing it to cybersecurity training, verifying candidates information security, and there are many other things which we can collaborate and ensure safe data handling. More importantly, the onboarding and the training thing.
Makes sense.
5:30, 5:45 नहीं?
Makes sense. Am I audible?
5:30.
Bhavna?
Yes, you are.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much, Rupesh, Sapna, Bhavna. And I understand that I think Rupesh was somewhere saying that they think that we'll be the easiest attack, but they need to know we have become smarter with time and we have adapted to you know processes. So any attacker who's thinking that he can send something through an email in the form of resume or any attachment needs to know that we have also advanced and we have befriended the IT team and the cybersecurity team to improve our processes. Thank you so much. So Selva, you wanted to ask something? Is Selva on the call? Because Selva is also a talent acquisition professional and I want him to also. Please, Selva.
Yeah, so my question, I hope I'm audible to everyone, right?
Yes.
So my question was, around
Yeah.
the hiring challenges in cybersecurity, which I am practically facing, to be honest. So I mean, it's quite generic. I mean, I'll throw it in general, so anyone can answer to this. So I'll been hiring for a cybersecurity manager for my company, right? We've been hiring for a ISO 27001 implementer and a PSI DSS person. And we look for, 6 to 10 years of experience, but not really getting a person on this stage. So I just want to maybe, get an answer from Bhavna, Anjika, or, anyone. So what could be the strategies, in hiring cybersecurity personnel, or what sort of, specific targets we can have in terms of getting a candidate in
May
general,
I answer that
for
question?
hiring.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
So,
please.
what I believe, I'm not sure about your company, but yes, industry. You should target your industry. Let's say top tier one competitors. Then, of course, my take will be always go for those third party auditors. If you have heard about Scrut, um,
Okay.
right? So you should
Not
actually.
really. Okay.
No problem. You should see
Okay.
those company who comes as your tier one, tier two, tier three, competitors. Plus, those auditors. You just talked about SOC 2, ISO 2001. I believe they should be certified as well. 6 to 8 years is a good, years of experience you should target. But yes, if you're seeing somebody with just security, cyber security experience, you should go for Scrut, taking, people from Scrut audit team. You'll find
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
there.
All right.
I'll
Anyone else?
I'd
Anjika,
like
Uh,
to
please.
add on it actually because
yeah, please.
I think Bhavna, you're talking more from the
Hiring
how to
perspective.
get the right yes hiring perspective, right? I would like to add few things because I've been on both the sides, right? I have uh, so I am actually surrounded by cybersecurity professionals around like a lot of cybersecurity professionals, and half of them are into compliance and they're working from past 10 years or 12 years into this domain, specifically for ISO, SOC 2, PCI DSS, and stuff like that, right? The problem that happens from the other end whenever they are looking for a job opening is two things, right? So the first thing is that they don't want to be restricted to a particular compliance, right? Because compliance, once you are compliant, you have to move on, right? And the other aspect of it is that they look from a perspective of how can a company actually need, like how will a company grow in compliance perspective, what more will their role, what more they can offer with their role, right? And specifically for managerial positions, the challenge comes in a segment where cybersecurity is an operationally expensive uh, you can say org, right? And they often don't get budgets, the right budgets to actually implement this. So for example, Scrut, right? Scrut itself is an expensive tool. If we take all the competitors, right, be it Vanta, be it Rata, Tugboat, there's so many competitors out there, Sprinto and everybody, right? Their teams or their auditors are more on the tool designed basis, as Rupesh was mentioning earlier, right? So what they know about is only from the different aspect of getting the audits done. What they often miss, or what companies are looking for, is a comprehensive person who can understand the challenges and then implement on top of it, right? So if you're looking for a person, I would rather say like 6 to 10 years is definitely a good experience, as Bhavna also mentioned, right? Look for a person who has actually have a dev experience, transitioned into a manager role, and then transitioned into a security role, because compliance is not hard to understand. I myself, I'm developing, I have my own compliance product, right? And compliance is pretty easy to understand. But what is not easy to understand is the whole scenario of how the compliances are implemented, right? So when you're hiring, it would be better if you look for a person, and those type of people will actually be more available in the market. If you look for a pure cyber background, that might not work out as an organization also.
Or let's say second option, Selva, you should outsource also.
Yes,
Makes sense. I think, yeah.
All right.
definitely.
For Selva's too,
Definitely.
he wants some ISO certification and all that. And I'm sure there's a lot of pressure for the TA team to fill that position. So Selva
So
can go for that. Yeah.
I think, Selva, what I can help you out with is, I run a community myself of cyber founders across the globe. So we have a list, a community of 50 plus cyber founders from India, Germany, Sweden, US, UAE, all across. I can get you in touch with them if you're looking for something like that.
Great,
I think
great.
they will
I can share you
definitely
even
have.
the job post
Yeah,
as well in case if, I
definitely.
mean, yeah,
Definitely.
fine, fine. Great.
Perfect.
Thanks for
That's,
your
I
inputs,
think,
Bhavna and Anjika. Thanks a lot.
thank you. Thank you so much. I think that's how we network. So, Selva, Anjika, please connect with each other. I'm so sorry for the rush. We just have 5 minutes to close this session. Thank you so much to everyone who's joining. If you have more questions, please feel free to reach out to the
Uh,
panel, to the team.
yes.
I just
Meenakshi,
want,
I think we have
yes,
one
Manisha.
question in the chat from Vidisha asking for
With
I'm
remote
unable
work
to
and increased
connect.
digital
Yeah.
collaboration, what new cybersecurity risks should HRs and organization be prioritizing in our employee training? So, anyone who wants to answer it in like a minute, quickly. With remote work and increased digital collaboration, what new cybersecurity risks should HRs be prioritizing? So, Manisha, if you want, or Anjika, Ramesh, anyone.
Bhavna, you want to take this question?
Yeah, I believe, I would not be the right person at this point, how exactly, we should take it up. But I can only add up. So just wait a minute. Let me just read a question. So this is from Bidisha, what I can see.
Yes, yes. The second part, yeah.
Digital adoption, what news? Oh yes, so I believe security is one of the things. I misread or misinterpreted the question. See, what I see in coming years, let's say in 3 to 5 years, the whole scenario of job opportunities, entire new category is going to be made up, and that's going to be entire new category of product, job opportunities, strategies. So you see, AI is smart enough to find, to fix, and even to predict what issues are going to be. So fixing it up means that you should bridge the gap of demand and supply. Now, right now, we know that there are hackers, there are things which are not going right. But then what about the defense system? So here comes the least possible, I would say there's no supply of this particular thing. So AI security, cyber security defenders. So these are the people or the future ready job opportunities we should be seeking out at. And if we have this particular thing in all the organizations, I don't think there will be any issues, be it for a remote person or for somebody who is physically there in the organization.
Makes sense. I think the location or the mode of work would not work if we have some of the compliance trainings and all of that in place. Thank you. All right. So I think I would now like to thank you so much for joining this session for sure. we can definitely take more questions. You can reach out to the panel. Everyone in the chat, feel free to share your LinkedIn on the chat box and connect with each other. And I would now request Pavan from CodEvo to please say a few words.
So thank you, Meenakshi.
Manisha, yes,
Thank you. Thank you.
yes.
I think because of the network limitations, I won't be able to switch on the camera. You all have seen what has happened. So as we conclude today's, I think, tech and talent discussion, I would like to sincerely thank, our esteemed panelists, Rupesh, Anjika, Bhavna, and Sapna for sharing their valuable insights on cybersecurity and evolving tech talent landscape. I think the perspectives truly made this session enriching and, meaningful for everyone. Now, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the community led by Meenakshi, Vaibhav, and Selva for their constant support and collaboration with CodeEvo Academy in making this event possible. At CodeEvo Academy, we focus on building, future-ready talent through premium upskilling programs. We have already trained 1,000+ learners, while we are also delivering, corporate trainings in, hospitals, schools, and other organizations. We encourage all interested stakeholders to, follow CodeEvo Academy and for corporate training collaborations. Please feel, free to contact us, and we will now share a poster, or a QR code, for you guys can, see, our contact details. And thank you everyone for joining us. Have a wonderful evening. I'm just sharing the, QR code with you guys.
Thank you so much, Pavan. Thank you so much, CodeEvo Academy. And as we are at the end of the session, I'm very happy that we're on time and not exceeding it a lot, because I really value time and I value everyone's effort. On weekends, we don't usually, you know, we are having a leisure time, because after a 5 week hectic week, we want some relaxation. Having said that, thank you so much for joining this session. I will just like to sum it up again by saying a few lines about the community, which is synergy of communities. We are just here to build a platform where we like connect, collaborate, and cultivate any kind of learning session that you want to do. If you want to be a speaker, if you want to collaborate, please feel free to share the details, because I think we all need to grow together. And that's the motto of community as well, that together we grow. And as of now, it's a pan India community, and we keep on, we'll keep on growing with your help. So thank you so much. If there's any idea, if there's any conversation, please feel free to share an email. And look forward to more such sessions, and look forward to meeting you all offline and online again. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to the CodeEvo Academy. Yeah, that's the scanner. Thank you so much, tech team. That's the scanner, so you can scan us, you can follow us. Any ending note, Manisha, Selva, Vaibhav, if you want to say something, please go for it. And anyone from the audience, if you want to say something, we can probably just push it for 2 to 3 more minutes.
Yeah, nothing from my side, Meenakshi. Thank you so much for collaborating with CodeEvo and arranging such an insightful session. Thanks from me.
Thank you. All right, then. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much to the wonderful audience. Because of
Thank
you,
you,
we were able to
Meenakshi.
pull this off.
Very good
Thank you.
being here.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for moderating us. I'm grateful
Thank
to be
you
a part
so
of the
much.
Tech and Talent. Yeah.
I am
So,
honored to have you, and I'm very happy to be on this side, speaking to you, Bhavna, Sapna, Bhavna, Anjika, and Rupesh. Thank you so much for the insight. It was truly
Thank
an
you so
enriching
much,
session.
Meenakshi. And you
Let
were a lovely moderator.
Thank you. Let's all keep growing and like sharing knowledge as much
Right.
as possible. Amazing. Good evening. Good
Thank you.
evening,
signing
everyone.
off.
Bye
Thank
Thank
bye.
you.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
We
Bye.
should have done it like this.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
This is what I was telling you. We should have put anything, QR code itself was very bad. Yeah.